James Franklin got out-coached by Michigan's second-string head coach. He got out-coached by the offensive coordinator. That's something that a coordinator's not going to fix.
First up, we've got Penn State, Illinois. We're going to go through each of the games. Well, we got 3 games. First up, Penn State, Illinois. We got 5 minutes for each game.
Looking for some bigger prey. They're hungry for that bigger win, and this could be it. If they can take down Penn State. I said, nevertheless. Why did I say I said?
The former third-string, now second-string quarterback. And people on Twitter are talking. Should he be the starter now?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Big Ten Chatter on the Team Rivalry channel. I am Cliff, and with me, as always, is the commentator extraordinaire, the angry pigskin, the people's prognosticator, my firstborn son, Mackenzie. How's it going, Mac?
You switched a couple.
It's okay. How are you?
Okay.
Don't worry about the titles. Move on.
I'm scared now. I'm upset, frankly disturbed, because you switched them. It makes no sense. Put it in the correct order.
You got to use words, and you got to say them as they come to you. You got to go with the flow. It works. It's fine.
Broadcasting 101.
All the meaning comes out. Thank you to everyone watching, sharing love for football. This is why it didn't come out right, because I can't get these words out. All right. This is Big Ten Chatter. This is where we talk about the Big Ten topics of the day, and the Big Ten topic of today is Penn State. James Franklin fired his offensive coordinator. This was after losing the must-win game against Michigan. Must win because if they lost this game, which they did, they have been knocked completely out of the Big Ten championship, and probably, I don't see how they would ever get back into the CFP, but they're likely out of the CFP as well. Sunday evening after the game, James Franklin fired the offensive coordinator, Mike Yurcich. Yurcich was Franklin's 6th offensive coordinator in 10 seasons or 9.5 seasons, whatever we're at now, 9 3/4. That's a lot of OCs. In Franklin's tenure, I'm going to put up a graphic for you because I have all of this on the screen. Under James Franklin, Penn State has 1 Big Ten championship. They are 1-9 versus Ohio State. They are 3-7 versus Michigan. They are 3-17 versus top 10 teams. 5-4 in bowl games. Not horrible. Not great. Not horrible. With an overall record of... Yeah, exactly. They have an overall record of 86-38, giving them, I believe, about a 69% win average, or Franklin, 69% win average. And for all of this, Franklin has fired his OC 6 times. Penn State wants to be an elite program.
I don't know if that's true. Okay.
I read that they were on their 6th OC.
They're on their 6th OC, but like 2 of them got head coaching jobs.
Oh, they left?
Yeah. 2 of them did, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's different then.
It is different. Yes.
I guess if they left, they left. Nevertheless, he's on his 6th OC. But that's also just kind of weird, though, because if he's developing these good OCs that are leaving for head coaching jobs, that I guess the big question here is Penn State wants to be an elite program and they're having difficulty getting over the hump, like Michigan had difficulty getting over the hump. So I suppose the question is, can Penn State get over the hump, or are they simply a mid-level, well, not mid-level, high-level Big Ten team, but mid-level CFP, mid-level top 10. Are they a top 10 team for real? Will they ever be more than... Will they ever get to the CFP?
Do you want me to jump in here?
Yeah. I was hoping you'd start talking.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, okay, so a bunch of people have been saying who are the biggest beneficiaries of the expanded playoff going to 12 teams. And Penn State is probably that team because it's the team that can't get over the Michigan and Ohio State hump and can't get past the Big Ten, but always seems to find itself somewhere around the top 15. So as long as they win against everybody else, they beat everybody else, maybe even soundly, then they stay in the top 12. They can still get a playoff berth. Them, and I think USC also probably benefits from it, although who knows where they're going to be after this season, because Lincoln Riley's name is getting attached to some Big Ten or NFL offers. So who knows?
Ooh, all right.
But this is how I see Penn State. So James Franklin, they can't win the big games. You just mentioned he's in that weird position that Harbaugh was in, back in 2020, where he was beating not in 2020, before 2020, where Michigan is beating the crap out of everybody. They didn't beat the crap out of anybody in 2020 except for Minnesota, which is weird, but okay. Right. But Michigan was beating everybody before 2020, including Penn State. They just couldn't get over the Ohio State hump. They couldn't win the Big Ten. Now, I would say that coordinators could help the situation at Penn State just as it did at Michigan. The problem is this. The coordinators weren't the ones deciding to go for it on fourth and I think fourth and a little distance on their own 30-yard line.
Yep.
With the game on the line. So, well, actually, the game wasn't even totally on the line yet because there was time. I think there was still like 6 or 7 minutes left at that point. Maybe 5. No, like 5 minutes left or something like that. James Franklin decides they're not going to punt. They're only one score down, mind you. I think at this point they're like 8 points down, I think. So all they needed to do was punt, get a stop, and they would have another shot at a touchdown. And Michigan's offense wasn't, Penn State's defense was playing incredibly well, and Michigan was okay with settling in to run the clock. So that's fine. But all James Franklin does in that situation is just basically invite Michigan to end the game. And they did right there. Literally the next play, Blake Corum for 30 yards ends the game. Touchdown. And that's a problem that coordinators are not going to solve. That's a coaching error. James Franklin got out-coached by Michigan's second string head coach. He got out-coached by the offensive coordinator.
Right.
So that's something that a coordinator's not going to fix. So now you got to ask yourself, if you're a Penn State fan, okay, do you want James Franklin fired simply because of the results against Penn State and Ohio State? Or are you okay winning 10 games a season and going to the Rose Bowl because Michigan and Ohio State inevitably end up in the CFP every year now? Of course,
right.
Even with James Franklin, you finish in the top 12, you'll get a CFP berth yourself. So why fire him when you're going to be able to achieve all of these? Well, maybe not achieve, but you're still going to be in the running for all of these goals anyway. Or fire him and hope that you can pull a Georgia and find somebody that's going to get you over the hump. But you can ask Nebraska how that works out. They fired Bo Pelini because Bo Pelini was winning 9 games a season pretty definitively. Like he was pretty much always good for 9 games a season. And I remember when he got fired, I was floored because I'm like, the guy's winning 9-10 games a season. Why would you fire him? That's a good season at most schools. And it is. But Nebraska has championship aspirations. Penn State has those aspirations too. Nebraska fires Bo Pelini. They're nothing. They spiral into irrelevance for the better part of 10 years. For 10 years, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the rule. That's not the exception. That is the rule of what happens when you fire a coach who is pretty good, not championship, but pretty good. 9-10 games a season, 9-10 wins. And you fire him, your program ends up in irrelevance after that.
Well, let me throw this at you. Okay, so going back over some of the stats here, but before I go over the ones on the screen, in James Franklin's tenure, they're finishing the CFP. Looks like they've got it 5 times in 9.5 seasons. They finished 11th in 22, 10th in 19, 12th in 18. 9th in 2017 and 5th in 2016, and that's the year they won the Big Ten championship. But now look at these stats between the Michigan and Ohio State games. I mean, they're so close. I mean, if anything, Penn State is consistent. Mike Yurcich was very consistent on the offense. I mean, virtually the same number of first downs, the same number of fourth down conversions, 2 yards difference in total yards, 1 yard difference in penalties, and only, I mean, less than a minute. Oh, I'm sorry, 10, 12 seconds over a minute in possession with roughly the same production, 12 points and 15 points. So, yeah. I guess when I look at that, I think Franklin was probably right to fire him because he wasn't getting any better.
Well, but the problem, you got to look at his quarterback right now. It's not Drew Allar's fault. He's a young guy. He's 19 years old. I don't think he's a true freshman or anything, but he's a new starter. He's a first year starter.
Mm-hmm.
He's not had to play Michigan and Penn State or Michigan and Ohio State every year. He doesn't have that type of experience, and they're actually doing pretty well despite that. So Yurcich wasn't the problem. I think that the problem was just their quarterback's inexperience. If there's a problem with the coaching administration, it's with James Franklin. It's not with Yurcich.
Yeah, I just read as we were getting ready to do this video that there's the possibility that Drew Allar might enter the portal because Yurcich was his guy. And if Yurcich is gone, Drew Allar might be gone next year too. So.
Well, and then James Franklin's going to be gone too because that was his decision. So,
yeah,
this is why you don't. This is why you don't overreact. This is why I said so many times that I wanted Harbaugh fired, and deep down I really didn't, because I knew that if he could just make this one change or figure whatever the problem was out, then Michigan would be a lot better. And that's exactly what happened. If James Franklin can just figure out those 1 or 2 tweaks that he needs to make to get past the Michigan and Ohio States of the world, they're going to be a championship team. But he overreacted to one game, I guess 2 games. He overreacted to these 2 games, despite the fact that they were blowing out everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a bad half against Northwestern, still blew them out. They blew out West Virginia. They blew out UMass. They blew out, I mean, they played well.
Yeah.
In every other game. They just needed a quarterback who had the experience, and they would have had that next year. But no, he had to overreact, and this is what he's going to get. If Drew Allar transfers, then whoever the athletic director is at Penn State, if you were looking for a sign to fire James Franklin, this is it.
Here's your sign.
If Drew Allar transfers, here's your sign.
Yep. And I think that speaks to how well Penn State is playing, is that we expected going into this game, this was Michigan's real test of the season. We expected this to be a tough game. Now for it to come out, not only, like you said, the second string coach took down Penn State, but they took down the number 2 defense in the country with the ground game.
Yes. Yeah. The number, they're the number 2 overall, and then the number 1 defense against the run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's got to say something. It would be fascinating if Penn State ends up as one of our freshman class videos next year.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. I think that about wraps up. Anything you want to add to that?
Nope. That's about it.
All right. That's going to do it for our Big Ten chatter. We will see you soon on the next video. Mac, take us out.
This is Team Rivalry Big Ten chatter. Still don't have that down. We'll get it.
Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend watching football. Have fun watching football. Remember, #make football fun again. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. This is Big Ten Team Rivalry.